Right, hello everyone. Well, you saw from the title, this one's called The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, and it's about the AS350 and my time with it. So I'm just going to attempt to get airborne without crashing. And I'm going to put a couple of forward clicks on, which I need on this Puma Flight Pro. Certainly it was a great thing to get. I'd always wanted one of these Flight Trainer Pros, and of course it came about the same time I purchased the AS350, and I purchased the AS350 without doing anything but watching the fantastic videos by people like Mimil and the group from France, and also some sling loading videos I saw on YouTube. And of course I just assumed it would be the same to fly as all the others. And on the day of purchase, when I finally got the Trainer Pro set up and did have a go at flying it, I immediately thought there was something wrong with it. There's files missing or a corrupted download, and I spoke to a lot of people, and everyone said no, it's just really touchy. But I was at the stage where I was taking off and flipping the thing upside down, and I couldn't believe anything could be quite so touchy. Well, the answer to it is that touchy, and it does require an awful lot of work to go into it. So for the first week or so, not wanting to sort of put too much of a damper on it, I got all the curves in I could do. I put on all the help aids I could, and I was managing to get it off the ground and fly it around, but it didn't feel right. And I then got in touch with that Kelvin Perez, who's done the lovely new textures for this helicopter, which I haven't got on this one, by the way. And it was during swapping discussions with him and some videos using the Axis monitor that Joe Kitfer did that I'd realised that the amount of movement that was required to fly this helicopter was nearly the amount of shake I have in my hands due to my dystonia. And so it was actually a very, very difficult thing to fly in the first place, because the little circle that is shown on that axis thing is pretty much the total amount of movement that you use in controlling the helicopter. So I did my usual tweaking and everything else, and Kelvin helped me with a few things. Putting the weight up helps a full load of fuel. Being very careful on collective movement helps a great deal. And each day I took off a bit of the control inputs, aids that I put in, and I'm now in the last 2 or 3 days without any aids whatsoever, and I'm managing to fly it. Now, the way I got around my tremor business and the fact that I can't hold my hand in one position, of course, when I had the X52, if I had the spring in it occasionally, it was never a problem. It went back to where the spring was. But if you flew it without the spring, I have to keep moving my hand in very, very, very small movements and never let it come to rest. And in that way, my brain sort of has an idea of what direction to move the stick if anything untoward happens, which on the AS350 it does quite often. But once you've been through it all, the reward of actually doing a successful flight in the AS350 and getting it back on the pad or landed is a big thrill, and you do find yourself keep going back to it. And it is a helicopter which I've always loved the shape of. I got to fly in one a few times in my younger days, and a guy at my helicopter club, RC helicopter club that is, used to fly out of Shoreham in one, and I would often go with him on flights and that, and I've always loved it. So I really hope that Dreamfall or Fred or somebody else does come up with the update for this helicopter, because it is a joy in some respects, but if you're a beginner, I would certainly advise you to look elsewhere, certainly for your first helicopters, because this is not one for the faint-hearted. A bit like there, just managing to kill the speed off. I would never have made that sort of mistake, well, say never, hardly ever before. So I'm going to come in here moving, because that's generally the only way that I can land it. I can't hover this over a spot at the moment. So there we go. So it's not a great helicopter for the beginner, but a couple of weeks on, I'm looking back and I keep finding myself coming back to this one, and it is a very rewarding helicopter to fly. The other side of it is that when you jump back in the other helicopters from X-Plane, my god, they're easy to fly. So if you can fly this, I think you can fly pretty much everything. And it's one of those things. The only thing I'm going to put in, I think the description on the .org forum is misleading. It does say it will work with anything above X-Plane 10.3. I assume that X-Plane 11 it would work on, because that's above X-Plane 10. I also made the mistake of not looking into any of the forums to see the updated files that you had to do to get the helicopter to work, or the sound to work, or the way you would want it to. So there's a little bit of me that says I still think it's maybe needs different wording. It should say definitely not for the beginner, and more files required to make it work and behave the way it should. There is some debate on that, because the download I did from the .org site didn't behave very well at all, and it was only when I did an SP1 upgrade file did it behave itself. So I don't know how that happened or why, but in the end it's worked out that I am flying it. I can get it to take off, and I do find it a rewarding helicopter to fly, and I hope they will come back to it. So let's see if we can get off the ground again. More right pedal required, because one of the things I had found with this one was that the autos in it were absolutely brilliant. I actually found it easier to land doing autos than I did landing it with the engine on. Now, for some reason today I've been slamming the towel into the ground rather than sort of doing the running, what I call running on autos on the grass where it slides. So hopefully we won't do it on this one. We cut the throttle off, drop it down. It's not overly high. Left pedal on at the moment quite heavily. Lift the nose up a bit, get the revs up. That's still full left pedal. Start to straighten out. and you can tell it does glide. Now there will be endless, let's just turn the engine on again, throttle up. There will be endless debate about that type of auto, because there will be an awful lot of people that say it's not realistic in the way that it glides down, but it is a great deal of fun. On the MD500 I've been increasing the weight of it more and more and more. It's not that it drops like a stone, but its descent rate is much faster, and I think I've got the MD500 as close to what I feel, looking at videos of MD500s doing autos, as close to I can get it. So I'll leave it there. As usual, thank you very much for watching the videos, I appreciate it. A big shout out to Kelvin Perez and Mimil for helping me over the last few weeks, and hopefully over the next coming months I will get to fly this more like they do, and I'll see you all next week.